Peace be upon you and welcome to another tutorial. In this tutorial, we're going to create this website right here. We're not we're going to clone this website. It is just a platform for learning of a faculty of science. It exists in Morocco. We're going to clone this place here, the login form. We're not going to create a backend for it, just the front end that you see using JavaScript and HTML and CSS. So enough talking right now, just jump in here. This is the index. I open it, no content in it up to now, just a blank page. If I, as you see here on the screen, there are three folders, one for the HTML, Java, and CSS, of course JavaScript. And this picture right here, I just downloaded from this website also by just saving image as. I'm going to let you all the links to my GitHub repository to download the source code with the image if you want to clone it by yourself. So as I said, this is just the cloning of this beautiful thing right here, even if it's not beautiful. Alright, I drag them here to my Sublime Text editor. I use Sublime Text because it's the best editor in the world, as I think. This is the folder where I drag them. I open them right here, and now this is the image. And now we're going to jump right away to HTML and start writing our codes. So we're going to start by HTML and hitting tab. It's going to automatically give us all of these boilerplate. We're going to give it a title module, modules, or just module. And here we could go with lang. I'll leave it in English. And after that, we could here call the styling like style.css, as I name it up here, as you see here. And just remember that I'm saving all the folders, all the files in the same directory in clone module. That's it. So I just call them by their names. And in the body section, I'll call the script like this. I'll go with source and main.gc. Give it any name you want, there ain't no problem with that. So up to now, we're good to start writing the structure of the web, of this page right here. As you see that I have image, I have two divs, as you see, both are centered. So we could just create a section that's going to center it, and then we're going to create inside of it two divs, then separate them with a break or do a margin to them or anything just to make them separate and give to each one of them a border. And as you see right here, the picture got its own border, and then there is this things right here that displaying in flex just next to each other. So we're going to work on that too. And also this input fields right here, and there is this little mark at the bottom, this marker here. When I click on it, it's going to display to me this text right here, or these paragraphs. And when I click anywhere on the screen, it's going automatically to display to none, or disappear, or hide, or cancel anything you want. So, or even if I click on it, it's going to disappear or whatever. So it returns its normal width and height. I'll jump to the index. Now I just start copying this. So I'll start here with section as I said it. I'm giving a class name of container all that's going to contain all the files. Container all. Inside of this container all, let me here push this scripts a little bit and give it a comment just to separate it into codes called script. If you want to add more script, just adding them by its source. So inside of the section class container all, we're going to, as I said, this class container is just going to center with this content right here. Inside of it, we're going to create another section or other divisions, that the first one is going to be at the top, and the second one will be at the bottom. So div dot container like this. Inside of this container, as you see that there is another image here and other content. So let us end first of all with this div up here, then we're going to jump to the second div. It's nothing by something hard actually. So this div right here contains also an image, and then it contains something here. So I'll start with the image. So I'll create a div and call it .images. So let me jump here. Inside this image, I'm going to call the image source, and it is header module, like this .jpeg, like this. Save it, and then we have this content right here. So we're going to create another div for the login form. So under here, I'll do a div dot login form, whatever. The names does not matter. Any name you give it, just remember that in the styling or JavaScript how you're going to call it. Inside of here, so if the user enters something wrong and then clicks on log in the main page of the web of the main page of the browser, is going to give it an invalid login, please try it again. So we're going to also add these images, and we could hide them, just displaying them on the screen. All right, so let me here inside this login form, I'm going to create another div for that invalid syntax and also for invalid syntax. All right, so I'll start with div dot say for instance error message, error mcg, and right away we're going to be the p that stands for paragraph, and say invalid login, please try it again, please try again, or try it again, or try again better, like this. Now we could also actually do, instead of error message, we could add a positive message that displays successful message, for instance, that your code is correct, for instance, and then it's going to log into your profile that has been saved in the in database, all of that stuff. We're going to start it later. All right, well, just copy this and just leave it up to now without do this. And also this we could just hide it by giving a comment here if you don't want it to be like this. Now I think it's better. Now let's jump to see what we have here. As you see that we have a flex, things are displayed in just one column. So we're going to display this and this in one column. So after this login form, or inside of this login form, right here, we're going to create something, div, and call, for instance, flex, because this I'm going to display flex just to be all in line. So div, another div. Now another div that is going to contain this part right here on the right, and the second one on the left. Right, this is in the right and this is in the left. So we're going to create two divs, one that we're going to implement inside of this input fields and login here, and the next one we're going to display or implement inside of it, all of these concepts right here, also with the button, drop button right here. Also, all right, now I'll go back here, I'll do div that form, because here you're going to start with the form that on the left, right? Basically it's on the right, but it's we look at it on the right, on the left. So Here we have a form, as I said, so form. Inside of this form, we have an input field. This input field is just a text. A name, I'll give it like, for instance, text2, or username, and also placeholder is going to be username, like this. And I'll go with some classes here. I'll like user or input value, like this. The same thing we're going to do with this one right here. Just copy this, all of it. And type is going to be password, and name password, and placeholder is going to be password. And the class, leave it an input value. Up to now, everything is good as I think. Alright, now I could refresh the page. If I refresh the page, as you see the picture, as you see when we refresh the page, everything just jumping or floating to the left by default. So don't worry about that, we're going to work on it a bit later. And for this one in here and here, we have to make them display black one in each other. So we could just inside of here do style and do display black. If we reload the page, it's not working. But if we want that, just create a div for each one and then display them to black, and each one going to float to each own one, or just including each one in a div. But to just ignore that, we're going to use the break, this break. So right away it's going to jump, and then we're going to give them some margin to separate them a little bit. And after that, out of the form, I'm going to create another input, and this input is specifically for this check mark right here. Remember username. So I'm sorry, a type of check box like this, and the name also I'll give it to something like checkbox, or just leave it empty, and I'll give it a class of checkbox like this. And the text here, remember username, I'm going to type here the label and say remember name, like this. So if I went here, refresh the page, here it is, remember username. Then what we're going to create, I think, the button, login button. So I'll jump right away after here, although button. So button, I'll give it a class of login button, class of login like this, and here I say login. If we went to our page, reload it, here it is. But as you see, it's aligned with the remember username. So again, it's better to use that break here, like this. BR, then here we are. After this, I think everything is okay with the first side, this side. Now we're going to jump to the second side, and it is forgetting your and other things right here. So I'll jump right away after the button, and this is the div of the form. So we're going to jump here and create another div and call it, for instance, more stuff here. Just call them more. Inside this more, I have link forgotten your username or password. So I'll go with A. I give it a class of active, and that just to give it its own color, as you see here, decorate it a little bit when we hover and all of this stuff. So forgotten, for gotten, let me see, forgotten your username, your username, like this. Then let me do this. Then or password. So I'll add that or password or reload. I'm sorry. I go here, reload. But as you see, everything just jumping on each other. We're going to write that in a second. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add this cookies must, this one right here. And as you see, it's next to it, there is the button. So we're going to add it right away after it. So jump in here, after it, do p, pause that text here. Then here I'm going to create a span. Let me hear this jump to the next line. Like this. Here, let's jump, return this to back. Inside of this span, actually leave it like this. Inside the span, I'll go this mark here, and here I'll give it a class of drop content, class of drop content, and ID of for instance, not drop content. This is the button actually. So I'll remove the drop button like this button, and also give it the same ID if we want to use the ID instead of the class. And when we click on it, we want to happen some kind of thing. So on click, run for me, drop like this. Better now. Up to now we're good. We're going to do right now, you're just clicking in here, selecting everything this page, copy it, go and open this process inside of here. Wait a second. At the bottom here, as you see, there is this lines I want from here at here. I'll cut them, remove them, return back here, and inside of the span, not inside the span, and under the span, and inside of the P, I'm going to create another div like this, and I'm going to give it a drop content class. Drop content class. Inside the drop content class, I'm going to do like some P's here, paragraphs. Let me here first of all copy this. The first paragraph, this, and this is the second one. And this is the third one. Copy it, go here, P, space, and here we are. And here we could just give the same thing like as an ID. So I'll go with ID, hit enter, and save it. After completing the copying all of these tags and putting them inside of these paragraphs or P, let me here do this. And now I'll jump. Let me close this now. I'll save it. And in here, as you see that there is another P of some courses may allow guests. So I'll jump enter the P. I'll do another P for that to do some courses may allow. Courses may allow. Courses may allow guest access. Guests access like this, and then another button for login to the guest. So I'll go under the P here. I'll do button. I'll give it a class name of guest because we are here using the guest, and inside of it I'll go with log in as a guest. Like this. Now if I want to main page that I have reloaded, I have the content here. So up to now, as you see that I done with the first step up here, Now I'm going to jump the second one. I'm not going to jump it right away until I complete everything as style, and this is the top one, because the second was quite easy, just to access and give them some bolt here and all of that. So it's easy, the second one. So let us first complete with the first one, then we're going to jump to this one and also the footer. Now I'll return back to the model. It is nothing here, as you see, just the texts, the structure is looking bad and nothing cool inside. Now I'll jump here. Since this is the image, I'm going to close it. Inside of the CSS, as you see here at the top, I already called it the first video. And now I'll jump here to the style. I'll go first for the body. Inside the body, I'm going to go with font family. Font family, I'll give it to Arial. You could use any font you want or you like it. Sans serif, like this. I'll give the margin 0 and padding 0, just to get it at the default margin and padding that the body have it, or the body has it. And also I'll go with font size. I'll make it smaller than this, like 50 pixels. And also for the color, I don't know what to do here, but let me remove the colors, leave it like this. So as you see, the text is a little bit smaller and cool. Now I'm going to jump to the container all. Here on container all, I'm going to add something to it. Let me here first of all add a comment and say the entire container page container, for instance, like this, just to be aware of it. Inside of it, I'm going to go with a width of 600 pixels, or any width you want, or just leave it auto. The margin, I'll give it at the top 5%, and left to right, I'll go with auto, just to center, because we want to center it. And the padding also, I give it to 0. If I reload it now, as you see, the width is 600 pixels and the margin top it is 5%. And for the margin right or left, I'll leave it to auto, because I don't want any margin to left or right. If you make it, it's going to mess up everything. So let's just go with 5% again. So if you, as you see, it's going to float again to the left, and I don't want that. So I just make the right and left to be auto, like this. After that, I'm going to jump here to the container. Let me copy this. Go here, say that's container. We could add a comment and say, for instance, the top container, the top container, like this. And under it, I'm going to make the text align everything to left, or it's by default everything to right, but just like make it text align everything to right, since we are writing in English language, not in Arabic. And you could the same thing for French. You just going to float it to the left, but for Arabic you have to do the text align to start from the right, because you know the language Arabic is start from the right. And margin, I'll leave it first of all left, and you could just don't do that. And I'll give it some border. I'll go with, just to make it like this, it's too small as you see, so I'll go with 0.5 pixels, and it is solid as you see, so solid. And the color, I'll go with black, or I go with D3D, it's like a gray color. So if I reload now this page, as you see, but everything cool and the border, but as you see the picture is floating out of the container that we give it 600 pixels. So how to do that? Just we're going to go back to our styling here and copy these images here. Under right away images, I'll say img to specify the element that I want to adjust and make the width of it to 100% just to fit inside of this. So if I reload it now, it's fitting inside of the border that I already created, or this section. And I'll go with some here, as you see at the bottom of this is a border. I want to do it too to the image right here, so I'll go under it, although the same border top here, I'll do it here. So if I reload it, it's going to be at the top. It's like doubling the border. So what I'm gonna do, just go here and do bottom like this. Now it's going just to be at the bottom, as you see right here. Now it is showing good on a layer. All right, now I'm going to jump again to this lagging form if we want to do that to it and give it some kind of color and all of that. So let me do it here. Let me show you. As I said, if the user enters something wrong, then clicks in here, display to them this or another message, we're not going to make it display because we don't have the background or the back end. So like if you have an account or you don't have it, so we're just creating this. So I'm going to give it some colors here. So in here, let me first of all remove this like this. All right, go here in the lagging. Let me see what I have. Lagging div of other message here. I'll jump here, so I'll remove all of this. I'll go with V, Control V. Inside of here, I'm going to do like a font size of 50 pixels, or it is already, I done it for all the page. And I'll go some padding, just I think top and bottom is 10 pixels enough, and left and right 20 pixels. And the background color, I'll go with some. So if I reload it here, as you see, this is what I'm going to decorate, this message here. And the background color, I'm going with like a red color, lighting red. So I'll go with FF and A2. It's not working. FF, A2, and A2, like this. Like this. So if I reload it, here we are. We have a correct. Now I'll go with some margin. I'll give it to 3 pixels and 50 pixels at right or left. 50 pixels, and also some color to the text. I'll go with this color 6A40, like this. Let me do this. Now it's looking good, but something I think it is wrong right here, cause it is giving it too much padding at the top and also at the bottom. So let me go here with font size to 50 pixels just to specify there. We'll load this, and now inside of here 10 is too much thing, so 4 is enough, or just 2, like this, or just leave it to 0. So much. I don't know what's happening in here, but it's like pushing everything and giving it much padding than I expect it to be. Let me see if I mess it up there. So like 30 margin. I'll leave it with 10 pixels, it's better. But when I reload it, it's kind of giving much bolder than I expect it to be. And that's because we're just entering the different side of the paragraph. So we're going to add a P there, reload the page. Now it is good, or cool, or whatever. And we could go back here and do the same thing for successful message. So success, and go in here. I'll remove this invalid and do valid or validate. Now if we reload it, we're going to have the same, not the same thing. Let me copy this, go to style, and right away I'm going to do it. Something, let me return back. And here there will be again. Copy all of this stuff. In the color now, I'm going to change it to a red color, something like red. So I'll go with this. I'll go with 3, 1, B, 9, and 21. And also for the background colors, I'll go with A4, F, F99. If I reload it, here we are. And where I bring these colors, I'm bringing them from this website right here. So you could just copy and look out for the right color and choose it and just copy it and paste it in your code. That's it. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make or to edit this part right here, this form, and this text is right here, and make that drop button work. All right, let's jump here. We done with all of these top things. Now to the flex one. Under right away, we could here, like for instance, give it a message, in a comment, say error success mcg or messages, like this. And here I'll go with the display the top container 2-in-1, like this. Display the top container 2-in-1. Of course I'm using the columns like this. So dot, the columns where I'm going to make them 2-in-1. So display, I'll do it to flex, and I'll give some margin like 5% at the top and 10% the right or left. And also for the padding, I'm going to make it 0 because I don't want any padding. So if I reload it, everything pushing in, and that's what I want it to be, then I add more stuff to it. Now I'll go to either the forms right here, this form. We could just type form input, or so I'll go with this input. In here we could just give a comment like iterating the form, iterating the form input. So I'll go with some padding like 8 pixels at the top and 12 pixels right or left. I don't want that outline to be, so outline to none. And also I think the border, I'm going to reduce this a little bit to 0.2 solid. I'll go with this color too, F7, like this. And I'll go with some margin. Let me go back here into margin to 5% all around. Now it's working perfectly. I'll jump right now to this place right here. Or before jumping to here, I'm going to edit this lagging button right here at the bottom. So lagging button, lagging btn. Now I'll go with some margin in here. What things I'm going with? So let me, where it is, here it is, the class. I'll go here, so I'll go with the margin. I'll give it like a 5%. at the top to just push it a little bit from the top like here, and also to the left to make it far from this section right here, and also at the bottom I think that I'm going to give it just 0 because I don't want to be any margin at the bottom, and for the right or the left also I'll give it 5%. So it's going to be like this. Like this. And if I reload it, it's going to push a little bit. Now I'll give it like a width of 199 pixels, and text align I'll make it to center, and the cursor I'll make it pointer, and also the padding I'll give it like 12 pixels at the top and bottom, 0 for right or left, and the outline I don't want it to be, so outline also to none, and border to 0, border to 0, and that's it as I think up to now. And also we could give it like a background color, a color, so I'll go with some background color here, background color, I'll go with RGBA, and I'll go with some like color, blue color, and you could go to the website that I just showed you in a moment before and look out for the right color that you want to put inside of that. And the last one here for the transparency, I make it 0.9, and the color I'm going to make it to white, color so white, 3 Fs like this. If I save or reload it, now as you see, looking cool. Now I jump to the second part. I don't know what div I called. It's more. Now in more, I'm going to edit more stuff there. Like I jump to the CSS here, dot more, and we could like give it a comment for the right stuff, like this, right stuff, like this. In more, what I'm going to do, I'm going to give a margin of 2% all around, just for the bottom. I don't want the bottom to be some margin. And now it's going automatically to push everything down. Now there is this space between them, as you see. And you could do like inside of doing this, go to justify where we make it flex, and do like justify content and do space between. If we save it, we'll load, and once here we remove this, I think that should be work. It's not working because yep, because the div we give it like 600 pixels, so it's not going to work. So let's just return that to its normal, like this. Now perfect. After this, what I'm going to do, let me like see here that give it like a line height. I'm gonna give a line height of 21 or 20 pixels, like this, and that's it for more. Now I'll jump to the active here for this link. I'm going to make the color to a light blue, so 1E and B and 4 and 2 Fs, and the line height or text decoration make it to none. Line height we already make it here, so better to go with the text decoration and make it a none, like this. So when I reload it, here color, as you see the color is blue and it's looking cool. Now we could like when we hover it to do more stuff, like in the main website, when I hover it show me that underline. So let's just copy all of this, Control V, and here the color changes to dark blue, and underline line like this. So when I hover it, alright. Now when I hover it, it changed into this color, and it's like active one, so it's beautiful, and everything working. Now I'll jump to drop button, to this drop button right here, to iter and add more stuff to it, right? So in here I'll go with dot, what I name it here, this is the class of drop button. Inside of it I'll go with padding of 1 pixel at the top and 3 pixels at the left or right, and border radius to 50%, and that just to be like this, circling around it. So I'll go now with some colors and all of that. So background color, I'll go with this color. You could jump to here and choose the color that you want. And here they choose the color blue. So the same thing I'm going to choose. I'll go with light blue. So light blue. I'll see if it's cool or not. So if I reload the page, here it is. Something look good, as I think. And just notice this one here that they include in this website. This one, it's not actually, it's just it's importing from the Font Awesome. You could use the Font Awesome icons if you want that. So I just went with the normal one that we have already in our keyboards, and you could just go with Font Awesome if you want that. And now I'm just showing you, so it's not important to focus on all of that. Light blue, I'll go with color white. So white like this, 3 Fs. And I think here this light blue, it's better to change it to something else like this color, 1 and E, B, and 4 and 2 Fs. If I reload it, it's the same color at the top here. And let me do something. Go in Google and look out for it right here, or just choose some color like this color and bring it. RGB, Ctrl V, make it to 0. I'm sorry, I have to make it to 1, like this. And you could play around with that if you want. So let me make it to 4 pixels instead of 3, or just leave it with 3. So when I hover it, it's like giving me select. I don't want it to be selected, so I'll go here, other user, select to none. And also I want to change the cursor. When I hover it, I don't want to be displayed like this. This is selecting, or I want to like a mouse or a little hand on it. So I'll go here, I'll go with the cursor. The cursor, as I said, I make it default just to be a little mouse, little arrow in it like this, like the arrow all the time show on the screen. So I'll go with default like this. So when I hover right now, it's give me just the default one like this. So if I open the inspect, it's give me errors because when I click on it, seeing this, the index is wrong, and this one, let me make it bigger a little bit. So in this, when I hover it, uncut references error drop is not defined because we didn't apply anything to drop, so don't worry about that. All right, when we are still working in CSS. Now I'll jump here, as I think I'll go to see the drop content. This drop content to add more stuff to it and decorate it. And the drop content, basically we're going to make a display to none. So drop content. I'm not going to display it to none until we add some stuff to it and decorate it. Then we're going to hide her. I'll let her display after clicking on. First, we're going to make the position to absolute, and that just by making it be floating on the texts there. So if I save and reload it, now as you see it's floating on the texts as you see. So that's what we're going to do. And position absolute, I go float left, and width I'll give a like, for instance, to 240 pixels. And display up to now I'll leave it a black, and the font size of the text is I'll make it small than the default one that I give it 15 pixels. I make it now to 3 pixels, and the background color I give it to white color, 3 Fs, and the color would go with a black color, and I don't know what else, like a border. I'll give it a border. The border I'll just going to go with 0.5 pixels that I done already at the top. So solid, and this color a little bit gray like this. I think cool. So if I reload it, as you see now it is looking perfect, but I have to add some padding to push the texts from the edges from that div. So padding, I'll go to the top 4 pixels, on right or left I'll go with 20 pixels like this. Now I think is cool. Yep, it is as I expect it to be. Now the button is not working or anything working. Alright, so I'll display it now to none because we are done with decorating it. We are going to add more stuff here, like this logging as a guest. As you see here, by default looking like this. When I click on it, it's going to display to me. And here still we're going to add more stuff to this login as a guest. I'll go here, I'll do dot, I'll jump here to see the guest. Here is the class. Control V, and I'll go with margin 5% to 1%, percentage, 0%, and 1%, and that just by pushing it a little bit down from everything. Not much, because I don't want the left to right to be much, so just to push it just a little. That's what I give it 1%. And the width I'll go with 210 pixels, and the text align I'll go with center it, and the cursor I'll make a pointer, and the border outline I'll make it to none, and the border to 0 because I don't want any border on it, and the color to black. We are now good. Now let me jump everything to its line like this. When I save it, reload it, it's pushing to this place. What does I think I'm going to add some padding to make it like this one. So let me just say the button. This is the login. I'm going to bring the padding that I had added here. Draw button. So padding. This is the padding that I'm going to add in this one. Like this. Now I think it's cool. As you see here, the text is a little bit bigger. We could just go here into text font size. Font size to like 16 pixels, like this. So the text now is bigger, but I'm going to leave it just to 4 pixels enough, as I think it's cool like this. After this, as I think we're done, and now we're going to jump to some CSS, or I'm sorry, jump to JavaScript, and just to let this button right here work like here, like it's showing in here. When I click on it, it's going to display to me. So when I click on it here, it's nothing. So when I open it give me just an error here in the console and said in 45, and that as I had show you already, that just the drop is not defined. Now I'll jump right away to GC or JavaScript and call the function that we said drop like this, and say to it a var, or before the var, what we want to grab. We want to grab the drop content, this drop content right here. So I'm going to call it by its ID. So I'll jump here, say document dot get element by ID, Control V, and var of drop content like this. Like this. After that, I'm going to say if the drop down or this drop content right here, it is equal to black, what I want to do, I want it to display to none. Otherwise, if it's none, display it to black. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to jump to here. I'll say if drop content. Let me just cut it first. Do this. So this. If the drop content its style, in the style specifically in display equal exactly to black, I want a hider. So how to do that? I'll go with this line, all of this line. I'm going to make it display to none, like this. Otherwise, it's already displaying none. I want to return it to black again. So that's it. Now, if I reload the page like this, clicks on the button, it's going to display to me. When I click on it again, it's going to hide. But the problem is when I click on it, and clicks in somewhere else, not the button, is not going to hide. So there is a problem here. How to fix it? We're going to jump also to JavaScript and do like a comment and say even, or click even out of the button hide all. The text will hide. The text will hide. The text will hide. Like this. Now we'll go window dot on click. When we click on it, on click, going to equal a function, and this function is going to have this function actually is going to have event like this, and I'm going to grab something and erase this drop content up here because it's separating functions, so we have to kind of redefine it, or the variable of it. I'll say if the event dot target matches, we don't want it to be matches the drop button. So that's why we're going to add a mark here. This mark is going to mean not equal or not matches this div that we're going to take, and it is drop button. Why I choose the drop button is like seeing here, if the user clicks anywhere, just not the drop button, do something. So like clicking on the window, clicking at the text itself, is going to apply something, just not the button. It will not apply that to it because we have the function up here to that button. So I'll go with drop content, dot style, dot display. I'm going to make it a none. Now, if I reload the page, click on it, it's going to display. Clicks out of it, it's going to hide, and that's what I wanted. Not just by clicking on it. Even if I click on the text, it's going to hide, not going to be bothering the user. Up to now, we are done. Now, what is still in here? It's just this letters stuff, not by something hard to make it. So I'm going to jump to the index. Right away under this all divs, I'm going to call it div.container2 container2. Inside of it, I'm going to just copy this and select the first one, give it here each one header one, the second one for a P paragraph, the third one the same thing, like this. So when I reload it, it's like this. So what I have here to do, just adding some style into it, and that's not but something hard, but just notice here I have some texts in bold like Masar or Cine. So I'll jump here, I'll go with Masar, I'll cut it, I'll do B, it stands for bold, and also for this one here, and you could just add as many as you want, like this one here, and also for the Chidion and CIN B, and also for this one at the bottom, assignment or whatever, Control V. So if I jump to here, I'll reload it. Now the mask and all of that. Now in the styling, I'll go like a comment. I'll say secondary container like this. Under right away, I'm going to add like a line height. Before that, I'm going to grab the class name of it. Here it is. Line height to, for instance, 25 pixels, and some margin. I'll give it like 5% right or left and 0 for the top, 5% at the top and bottom. Just make them push a little bit down, and also some padding. If we make here the border, let me show you. If I make the border and make it like 0.5 pixels solid, as I done already at the top, and the same color I'm going to use is going to be like this. So I'm going to push it a little bit using the padding, like 80 pixels top and bottom, 12 right or left, and the text align. Also, if you want to make it to any position you want to make it now, for instance to left, because I don't want it to be in the center or anything. That's it. So if I reload it, is it the same now? I think it's the same, looking the same as here, just the colors is different. If you reload the page here, it's going to disappear. And also here, if we want to hide that messages, or add some JavaScript and tell them if the user clicked here, display this, and otherwise if the user click here, display the second one. We could do that, but I think it's enough just to show you this. Now let me go to the footer here. Footer. Inside the footer, I'm going to create like a div to, or anything like I don't know. Now we're going to create the footer, and the footer not by something hard. As you see in the main here, you are not logged in. So if I copy it like this, we are in the main page. Just pass it in here, and under create a div. I'll call it like links to add the bottom links like this. Bottom links like bottom home and data, retentional summary, and get the mobile app and all of that. So inside of the links, as I said, there is an A for home, and another data. I mean P, not P. It's A. It's A, and it is data retention summary. So data summary, retention summary, and summary. I misspelled it. Summary, I think like that. And get the mobile app at the bottom here. So get the mobile app like this. Now if we jump to here and reload the page, we're going to get it at the bottom here. So what I'm going to do, just adding some styling or jump right away to the styling and add all of that stuff. So here at the bottom, I'll say footer. I'll say again footer. Inside of it, I go a background color, and the color white. 3 Fs like this, and some padding I give on the top with just 1, and the left 0, bottom 0, and from the right or the left position is going to be half 5 like this. And for the links, I'll go dot links. I don't know what, and the color also white, 3 Fs. And for the padding, I'll lift everything to 0. Just the bottom, I'll give it a 1% to push shit down. That div like give me a bit of space at the bottom, like the main web page here. I'll go with 2 better. You see, here we are, 2 better. And links A, I'll go with padding of 2 pixels with each other, top and bottom, and 0 for the left or right, and the color also is going to be white, 3 Fs here, and display is going to be black because I want a 1 on the other. So if we now to give them color black, and the footer have no color up to now, but to do the same color that exists in here, just go to the inspect, scroll down, here it is, the color dark gray. So just cut it, close this, go back here and pass it inside of here, reload it, here we are like this. So have this, so the same as in here, just missing the dot at the end in here like this. Up to now, we're not going to end the video until we add more stuff to this page here. By default, as you know, on the real web page, this red here are red messages, green or red messages or errors. It's not by default displaying. You have to do like an error. If you type something here, error, or in the password, that is going to, after that is going to give you if you have an invalid login is going to display this message up there, and if you have a valid login, it's automatically going to jump you to the next page where all of your profile or data that already reserved. But we're not going just to make them hide from here and display them after clicking a login guest. Now, although when the user click on login, show them the success screen, otherwise when he or they close in general on login as a guest, display this alert to them. It's quite easy actually, just using the first steps. So in index right here, I'll jump to the pi or to the p paragraph. In invalid login, I give it an ID, or I'll give it a class of none to display the none, and then I'll give them an ID of error, like this. The same thing, I'll copy these lines, I'll jump to the login valid, Ctrl V, and change the error to success, like this. Now I'll drag or scroll down to the login and give it an on click. When the user click on this button, we need to display here valid, so I'll go with toggle, because we want to toggle green, because the message is going to be green. This is a function. And for the guest one, Ctrl C, and for the guest one right here, I want it to be red, cause the message is going to display a red or alert message. That's it. Now right away I'm going to jump to styling. Under error message and success message, I'm going to add that none. I'll display to none. If I save it, go to the here reload it. By default now it's not displaying the two messages, alert and success message. And I'm going here and create two functions, or call the functions that I create in HTML page. Toggle green, like this. What I want to do, I want to bring to me display like a success message, like a drop success or drop green, equal to document dot get element by ID, and the element I want here, it is success, like this. Let me add this at the end. I want to toggle, so drop content or drop green dot class list dot toggle. What I want to toggle between show and hide that item, or that div specifically that show the message. So what I'm going to do, like create a new div called show. I'll jump right away now to style. What I want to call it dot show. Inside of it, I'll do display to be black, and it is just toggling. So if I reload the page, on click is going to display to me. If I click again, it's going to hide. Up to now, this login as a guest, I didn't add the function of it. So I'll go back to here. I'll copy this. Ctrl V. Instead of green, I have red. Instead of success, I have error. That's it. So if I reload, click, it's going to display to me this, and if I clicked here, it's going to display to me the valid or invalid. So if I reload the page here, it is as the real web page, not displaying anything until the user. You could scam your friend by adding something here, or by after, of course, hosting this on a web page and adding some back uh, development there to just let them send you their email or username and password. That is not for today. I'll let it to another day. But up to now, you could just type something like this and try login, valid login. And if I want login as a guest, it's going to be please try it again. And you could scam your friends by this and laugh on them. But the main idea is just how to write all of this and just to create the same thing in the real browser and the real one, like the real one. So that's it. And before I end the video, I really recommend you, if you want, of course, to download the source code, you're going to find the link in the description. It is a direct link to the repositories in GitHub. Just download them, and there is more stuff that I created already, like cloning Microsoft, creating a page from the scratch, and all of that. And also I have a bunch of videos, exercise in Python and how to get to use it, and also we did some kind of frameworks like Django in web development, or web applications in Android, on all of that. So up to now I think everything is okay, and thanks for watching and stay tuned. Peace out.